Welcome to Catch20Too. My name is John Thompson. Today we're going to continue on in our series called Understanding Your Pain. And let's face it, nobody enjoys pain, but we need pain. And even though pain sucks, when we don't understand why we have pain, it's even worse, I've found. And over my career, I've had lots of different kinds of pain, so I can relate to a lot of it. And today we're going to go into structure, and we're going to go through a concept that I call overworked but underpaid. And typically I get somebody that's referred to me from someone that's seen me that says, go see this guy. And everybody comes in and they're somewhere on what I call this health pyramid. We're somewhere in structure or chemistry or mindset. There's some low-hanging fruit, something that we don't understand about how the body works, that these systems aren't being honored in a way that produces, smiley faces. We're in a place where something is telling us to make an adjustment. And then when people come in and let's say that they have back pain, chasing symptoms can lead to all kinds of frustration and spinning your wheels and chasing fleeting results where it feels good for a little bit and then it gets worse, and then people jump from one thing to another thing to another thing, hoping that something solves it in 10 days to 14 days. And quite often when they come in, we'll look at their body. I almost look at the body like we have a corporation with a bunch of employees. And we have work to do called our weight and gravity. And the body is perfectly designed and it's very symmetrical. We have inside, outside, we have, two legs for things to go through. We have two arms. The trunk is where it gets to be, organs aren't necessarily symmetrical, but most of it's designed to be pretty even. And I'll give an example. I had a client probably over a decade ago, came in, car accident history, neck, but the year before she had total ACL reconstruction on her left knee. And she was going to PT for that. And after about 6 months, she's complaining about her back hurting. And when people come in, we do what I call roll call, where we're going to check to see what's working and what's not working. And people might say, yeah, this leg hurts. I have pain in this leg. I have pain on this side of my back. And I'll go and check this whole limb, and everything in this limb is working just fine. But this side is not working very well. So if this left leg is at 20% usability, or it's only holding 20% of the weight, where do you think the other 80% is going? So if we have this 80-20 split where my uninjured leg is doing 80% of the work when it's designed to be a 50-50 system, we call this being overworked and underpaid, where this, all of these muscles are just working because we're leaning to the one side, and we don't consciously do this. This is built into the brainstem. This all happens through reflex. This isn't about an attitude. This is just about, how the body works in compensation and gravity. But quite often, the place that they're noticing the pain is not the culprit. It is not the place that needs to be worked. What needs to happen is we need to get this 20% up to 50%. start getting the workload, usually starting at the feet, starting to get so that this understands and has integrated this leg back in. Because when we come in and we do this major reconstruction surgery in here, one of the things that happens is we have a stability issue because we're working with ligaments, you know. So anterior cruciate ligament reconstruction, this is what holds this knee joint together. And even though there's a successful surgery, in this process, this thing is completely torn off, and the signal that goes to the brain when we completely tear something is don't load me. And then we bring in some surgical, lacerations. And what I found is that where she had her surgery incisions, even though they were nice and neat and they had healed well, the communication gap across scar tissue isn't good. So when we get put out for a surgery and we get cut on, we're not awake during that, but our body is very much paying attention. And now, every time we lacerate something, it is saying, this is about as unstable as we get, as the lines are cut. And then when we have to communicate how much load can we handle, when it gets to this scar, it gets muted. It's hard to get energy to flow through the scar. The scar may be physically stable, but communication gets lost. And when we lose communication through things, the body goes into what I call worst case scenario. So what is worst case scenario? If you're depending on something, if you're going to go move and you've got a big huge bed and a big huge couch that you need some big strong bodies to do, and you say Saturday morning we're going to be moving, and who has a truck and a big strong back, and you get some friends that say, yes, I can come and I can bring my big strong back in my truck and we can put it in my truck. Well, if you talk to them on the Monday before that Saturday and they said, yes, you're feeling good about life, I got help. But if you call them Saturday night or Friday night and they don't answer the phone, because you're going to make sure that they got directions and they know exactly what time they're going to show up. They're supposed to be showing up at 10 a.m. and they don't answer. And then you call them the next morning at 7 or 8 a.m. and they don't answer. Are you expecting them to come and move your stuff? Now you're thinking, I might have to make some other phone calls, or I'm not going to rely on these people to come. Because with less information, we go to worst case scenario. Now, worst case scenario here is I can't load this section at all. So the body decides I'm going to shift weight every place that I can over to this side. And this side is going to protest with pain. It's going to say, hey, how long is this going to be? How long do I have to get, overworked, and where's my extra pay? And unfortunately, the extra pay isn't coming. Now, if it's been months or even years since the surgical, situation happened, the surgical intervention, then it's more of a reconnecting the brain and getting communication to bypass the scar to the brain, where it goes, oh, yeah, we've been protecting this for way too long. Let them load that. And now we're going to get closer to 50-50, where, if this is what's hurting, then we need to go direct, and fix this. But quite often people come in, and the reason they came in is this compensation pain. That it isn't really injured, it's just overworked because some other injury made the workload shift to one side. And you'd think that this might be automatic and happening in the brain, but my experience is that it isn't. And the good news about this is if this tissue is capable, it's low-hanging fruit where it's pretty easy for the body to reintegrate this tissue. And people can get shift and pain quickly and start walking on both feet. And you get this to 50-50. And then you're going to notice all kinds of things resolve. So hopefully this is giving some insight into maybe some of the mysterious pain of, gosh, this just showed up and I never heard it before. And it can be some old injury from before. We pushed weight to one side for way too long. And now we got this compensatory pain called overworked and underpaid. So hopefully this is valuable to help you get out of pain, start doing the things that you enjoy at a higher level again. And look forward to bringing the next set of Understanding Your Pain in the series to come.